Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here amongst the vibrationally aware.
Indeed.
I like to make comparisons between different spiritual beliefs and kind of come to the conclusion that we all kind of believe the same thing, just in different ways.
And the common denominator is what?
Ask and you shall receive, for one thing.
But what we're getting at is, and we're going to interrupt only briefly,
Okay.
is that there are a lot of different ways to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
But the common denominator in all of those different ways, no matter what it is something about the way that you're approaching is appealing to your logic in a way that brings you to a place of believing. Because if you want something and you believe it, now there's no vibrational difference. So it really doesn't matter what you want or what you believe. If you want it and believe it, then the vibrational alignment of it makes way for the manifestation of it. And that's why it's sort of not of a great deal of value to spend too much time trying to point out the errors of other people's process.
Oh yes, I don't really look at it as errors, but as far as I've read information about the ego versus the spirit, so to speak, and my analogy is the ego, the physical part, and the spirit, the non-physical part that we talk about. And when you
we have a question for you.
Okay.
We're really bad at interrupting.
Okay, good.
But it's when things start going south, we want to drag them back into alignment.
Okay.
And here, so we're just going to drop a sort of big bomb on the subject of ego and say to you, did you hear us earlier saying that we're standing in the vortex?
Yes.
And Esther is saying, Abraham, come over here and comfort me. And we say, we will maintain the frequency of that which you are. And if you wish to join us, come on in. Yes. Have you ever heard a more egotistical statement in all of your life?
Well,
we stand in the rightness of all that you have become. And we will deviate from that rightness, not an iota, not a particle, not a frequency, not anything. We will stand in the fullness of who you are. And if you are to be in vibrational alignment with that which we are, then you got to come to where we are. We'd call that, in every sense of what humans call egotistical. Because by ego, we mean focus. We mean understanding, perspective, and holding the perspective deliberately. That's the way we would define ego. Everybody that uses it means something different about it. Yeah. But you get what we mean?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And further, you came forth into this physical body with an enormous, terrific determination to focus. Not one of you said, I'll come and be a puppet. Every one of you said, I'll come forth and I'll sift and sort and I will decide, thought by thought, experience by experience, conversation by experience, conversation by conversation, what I most want, what would feel better to me. I will hold the frequency of that and manifestation will ensue. Not one of you said, I'll go forth and follow someone else's lead. You all said, I'll come forth and follow my bliss. I'll follow my inclination. Every one of you said that. That's a very powerful focus. You came with a personality and an ego because you are a creator. Don't you think? In other words, when we say to you, you hold the power that creates worlds in your focus, we think that's ego. But a lot of times when people are criticizing the idea of ego, it's because, and we would agree with this, when you stand outside your alignment and then you use your sheer willpower to try to make things happen, affirming, demanding, a lot of times people will call that egotistical. Yeah. And we don't call that egotistical. We call it out of the vortex.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I was going. It seems like that prevented us from getting into the vortex, retaining beliefs that aren't to our advantage, negative beliefs.
Yes, but to say that my ego only focuses on things that are not to my advantage is not accurate.
Yes.
In other words, do you really divide your ego in half? And sometimes you focus it out of the vortex, and so you call it egotistical. And sometimes you focus it in the vortex, so you call it spiritual. Let's call it focus, out and in, out and in, out and in. Let's call it guidance. And let's talk about the true knowledge of who you are. In other words, here's a really good way to look at this. Do you know why you ever experience negative emotion? Because you're focused in a way that your inner being will not focus. Your stubborn, determined, focused, egotistical inner being who will not deviate from its knowledge of your power, of your brilliance, of your goodness, of your value, of your worthiness, will not deviate from it. And when you do, you feel the separation, you see.
Yes.
Don't you just love knowing that?
Yeah.
Don't you love knowing that? So this source energy part of you holding steady to who you really are, you see, and you got a choice. You can use your ego to line up with it, or you can use your ego to not line up with it, but don't give the credit to you having an ego. That would be like saying, I have eyes, and sometimes I see things I don't want to see. I should poke out my eyes. I should extinguish my eyes. One time, I tasted something that was so nasty, I spit it out. I should not have taste buds.
Tears.
And we say, just use your focus, use your ego, use your ability to perceive in a way that serves you, you say.
Yes, okay.
Helpful?
Yes, very.
Enough? No.
Well,